Ladies and gents, welcome back. Holy cow, has it been another week? That's so crazy. It's been another week. It's been so quick. It's all coming by so quickly. Chat, come on in here. Let's hang out. We're gonna be hanging out for a while. Liberals afuera. Yeah, that's right. Get the chainsaws out, folks. Hopefully, well, not on the federal level anyway, not for the next 4 years, but we have hopes that other things that could come down the pipe for us, and that's where it is keep your ambitions going. You got to keep moving on with these things, but that's we're gonna get into a lot of that. Lots of hot takes in that app video. The app video? In the Alberta Prosperity Project video. Lots of hot takes in that one. Some like those takes, some do not like those takes. We'll see where we're going with that. But everybody, if you've got a wobbly pop, make sure you crack it open. Have at her. We're gonna have some fun here for the next couple of hours. That is a thing. Yeah, I know the bad mouth thing continues. It doesn't make any sense, but you know, whatever. That's the thing. Lots of hot takes in that. Yeah, there we go. Howdy, Clyde. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. So, did Carney just have their last election? Did Canada just have their Freudian slip? Carney. Yeah, did Canada have the last election? Is that might be a serious contender for last election. That may absolutely be the case. We'll see. That is, and I mean, that is to be said that Canada will exist. Obviously, Canada will continue to exist, but will it be the same Canada moving forward? Well, this the results of this election may determine where it goes from then on out. And of course, the results aren't even fully in yet. We don't know. There's some contested areas. We could get into that as well. But let's say hey to the chat. Welcome in, chat. If you're where are you coming from? Just put it in the chat. I'd just love to see it. And I'd like to know, where did you Alex, welcome. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. We're gonna have a long discussion over that. Why don't I bring up your tweet thread in this stream, because that one might be an interdasting one. Alex poking the bear today, getting some people angry. Got me irked a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, getting those discussion fluids all over people's screens. That's what was happening today from Alex Zoltan. Appreciate that. Fort Mac, we got all kinds of people. What's Stinktown, USA? You got to tell me about that. You gotta let me know where that is. Sherwood Park, Alberta. Rage Man, that was clever. Where did that go? Amazing Zoltan with the tears. Zoltan's the man. But yeah, Zoltan got some people angry today. Holy cow. Trish Brew for the $6.99 super chat. Thank you so much. So funny that so funny that some Americans freaked out when William Shatner joked about the U.S. becoming the 11th province. LOL. Hit the like button, everybody. I don't know if you saw my reply to that tweet. I said the best thing of, you know, the most important thing about a good joke is the timing. And sorry, Shatner, I think you missed it by a month or like a few months perhaps. Great one, Shatner. You're really on the ball. Yeah, of course, Shatner making that joke, but that's the thing. Hey, Clyde, here from Nova Scotia. OE seen Alex's post too. Should we go over that? Oh, I might have to look that one up again. It's definitely in my replies, so it wouldn't be hard to find. I mean, we could get into it. We could get into that one. I think, Alex, are you tuning in specifically for that? Is that why you're tuning into the stream tonight? Yeah, big laughs, of course. There it is. Prince Edward County, Ontario. Awesome. Toronto. Greetings from Edmonton. William Shatner lagged. Yeah, he's got bad connection. That's what it is. Shatner had a whole bad connection. Did everyone hug a Russian today? It's May 9th, Victory Day in Europe. Apparently we're all Russian actors now. Anyone is, I mean, there's only one reliable source. Everyone else is a Russian actor anymore. But he's on a 56K connection. He's got the old dial up. He's doing the bips and blobs. Blah, 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 blah. That's William Shatner tuning into the internet, trying to get a connection with anybody out there. Is there anybody out there? Russia helped us defeat the Nazis. Hug a Russian indeed. Yeah, that happened. That happened. Unfortunately, we were celebrating the wrong side of that one in Parliament a number of months ago. That was a thing. Wow, Clyde, everybody loves you. Everybody loves you, cheesecake. I'm a big fan of cheesecake. I'm not gonna lie. That is my favorite kind of cake. It's I don't really have much of a sweet tooth, but cheesecake is that one that just makes the cake. Yeah, so it's that one. I can't avoid cheesecake. It really is that thing. What do you get praises so well? Okay, it's getting weird, folks. Thank you, Amazing Zoltan. Should we get into Amazing Zoltan's tweet? I need to see something in the chat for that. Something like get into the tweet, make it happen. Let's see it. We want to see how he made a lot of people angry, because that's a thing. That was a thing. Now I want cheesecake. Sunny, sunny, sunny. Is sunny, sunny, sunny supposed to be something else? Or is it supposed to be an actual emoji? I don't know. I caught a couple, so let's hear what happened. It's the crust. No, it's the cheese. It's the cheese in the cheesecake. It's great. Saskatoon berry jam on your cheesecake. Amazing. Lol sunshine. Go for it. It's an emoji on my end. Okay, it doesn't show up. Do you have some plugin that makes that work? Who's joining you tonight? It is just I and the chat. So maybe a little preamble would make a lot of sense here. So every week, I mean every day, I'm doing videos in the morning. I'm doing videos in the evenings. I've been very busy. I've been all over the place. Just got back from a trip, and we did a bunch of streams and all kinds of things. Anyway, normally the regular content is in the mornings, and then in the evenings, supplemental live streams. But the Friday night live stream is a very especial live stream, and that's the one where it's just us. It's just the chat. It's just everybody from the community, and we're catching up on some stuff. We're catching up on some of the things that happened throughout the week. Perhaps it didn't get covered in the news, or didn't get covered on the channel. Perhaps people overlooked it. Perhaps it just happened on social media. That kind of thing. That's the deal. Where's Pleb? Pleb's on holiday. I just heard that he was on holiday. I guess he didn't take the results of the election very well, and yeah, he's taking a bit of time off. That's what I heard today. I hope he's all right. Viva la Alberta! Yeah, viva la libertad carajo! as we saw at the beginning of the stream. Oh, fuera! Yeah, big fan of Javier Milei for sure, and I love the idea of an independent Alberta. I don't even live in Alberta. I'm just very much in favor of it. That's the thing. Spit it out. All right. Love Keith Wilson. Everybody loves Keith Wilson. Canadians could use a little more emotion and vigor. Go Zoltan, by the way. Who's Zoltan? Alex Zoltan. He's in the chat. He's a writer for True North News. Very accomplished gentleman. He was one of the few to get to the front of the line to ask Mark Carney a question at the debates that made the entire media freak out and cancel asking questions. It's amazing, man. You've come a long way. Absolutely. Clyde, will Sask go with Alberta if they separate? I guarantee that. Just those things will happen, not at the same time, but very soon after. I think it would be the case. Made angel cake today. Come on down to Alberta. Yeah, if you're freedom loving, it looks like the invitation is open. Got to get Nadine Ness help out Saskatchewan independence. So I was speaking with Nadine the other day on the telephone. She's a lovely lady. I speak with her from time to time. She's been on the show before. She's very, very astute. She's very clever. Let me just tell you, she's a very, very clever lady, and she's got some really, really interesting concepts politically on how to get a win, and how to get wins in places that are difficult to get a win because of hurdles, stepping stones, people blocking candidates, people mass voting against candidates, and this kind of thing. She's very good at that. She's very good at that. And she's been very successful considerably. Thank you for wanting to watch me. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Hello from Gimli, Manitoba, and moving to Cochrane, Alberta, baby. All right, right. I'm super excited to see how motivated people are. This is really amazing. It is amazing because, you know, after the election, a lot of people were demotivated. But at the end of the day, like, really, could this be the silver lining that made this possible? Without the direction that it went, we wouldn't be talking about these things at all. Give us castle law, self-defense rights, lower taxes, and gun rights, baby. That's it. This is another one of those things. We shouldn't be given these rights. These are our inalienable rights. They're just being infringed upon at the moment. That's the way I look at it. Being a BC boy, what are your thoughts on BC after Alberta separation? So I think that's a difficult one. And I think it's a difficult one because of the entrenched corruption in British Columbia. And I think there's a lot of money in the lower mainland. There's a lot of money that comes from abroad. There's a lot of money that comes from narcotics sold that are produced here in British Columbia and then sold all over the world. And I mean, the corruption's really on the surface when you look at it, because you see, you know, what they're calling super labs, because they're like, just laboratory is not enough. They're super labs. So they're producing like industrial quantities of this stuff, and then they get busted, and they say clear links to Mexican cartels, clear links to all this stuff, and it's run by these people and funded by the triads, and not one triad Chinese person arrested, not one Mexican arrested. And what was the one place they had one Indian arrested? Like the janitor? Like, who was that? We're still not getting any information out of that. But that's yeesh. Yeah. The corruption is so entrenched here that there's this drive to keep it going, and a lot of money behind that as well. So I could see well, would an attempt fail? And if an attempt fails for separation, then it's like, it's going to be a very, very long time before that happens again. Now, if Alberta and Saskatchewan were to separate and successfully do so, and then British Columbia is kind of isolated out in the out there, then it's yeah, that makes things a lot more viable. But again, there's still that corruption angle. And I mean, look at it. They're not shying away from, I don't know, making funny business happen during elections to make sure the people who are in power stay in power. I don't want to elaborate any further on that one, but that's what's going on there. It kind of sucks. I own my home in a small town in BC, love my job, but now we're talking about moving to Alberta. No future in BC. Well, no, not as a part of Canada anyway. Separate Canada from Ottawa. Well, we were joking. I think we were joking that Canada should Alberta should separate and then take the name Canada and just say, no, it's ours. Come up with a new name. I just think that's funny. Do Americans want Alberta as a 51st state? Would it pass a U.S. Senate vote or take years? I don't think Americans want Alberta as a state. I'm not gonna lie. I know there's the argument that, you know, oh well, it's very right leaning, so it'd be beneficial to a Republican government to try to push it through and make them a state. I don't think that's the goal at the end of the day. I think the goal is to just have independent states and just usurp or get away from the federal government. The federal government is so corrupt and it's so entrenched. Just getting rid of the federal government is the way to go. You know, Albertans, why would you, as an Albertan, want to pay another tax? Like, go from one federal government to another federal government. You don't know if a Democrat's going to get elected and shut you down again. Like, much better off as an independent state. And you can make better negotiations with the United States without Ottawa getting involved at all. I think that's a much better approach. Y'all too liberal for my taste. There you go. And it's true. Like, even Alberta, the most, you know, staunch conservative province in Canada, is still more liberal than California, even. You know what I mean? It's true. I know people in Alberta wouldn't want to get rid of their socialized medicine. It's just a thing. It's gonna stick that way. It's gonna stay that way for a while. Still landlocked. Yeah, that's the thing. But still landlocked, but with easier, better trade negotiations just south. You're landlocked with a way worse negotiator in Ottawa, and it's just like that's obvious. Again, get rid of the federal government, and you'll have much better time negotiating everything. Alberta has 97% of Canada's oil. Is that accurate? I don't know. I know that there's lots of stuff in Quebec that just is not. It's just keep it in the ground. That's how they've been treating it. What currency would independent use, and what rules would they live by? Well, that's up to them. It's up to them. My guess is a lot of people would want to just use American currency in the immediate. But Jeff Rath, when I had him on, go check out the show with Jeff Rath, because he lines this out. He says, you know, it would be a good idea to have their own dollar and have their own central bank. I'm not a fan of central banks myself, so yeah, that's really up to the people of Alberta when and if they do decide to separate. And again, I'm taking this position from an outsider. I'm like, no, I hope for that. I really hope for that. I hope they do well, and I think they would do well. Yeah, it's accurate. Double checked. That's crazy. That's not like how much oil is it, the discovered oil, because I'm pretty sure there's lots in the Quebec area. But is it maybe just only natural gas, that kind of thing? Clyde, Quebec has 20% of Canada's LNG for starters. Yeah, and they're leaving it in the ground. They'll take it out of the ground if they no longer got a paycheck. And this is part of why Alberta should leave. Clyde, oh yeah, okay, we did that one. Rumble is down. Oh well. Like the whole website. I'm not on Rumble if you're not aware of that. So confirmed oil reservoirs, probably. Oh, oil reserves. Yeah. But yeah, they're definitely not tapping into it. That's the thing. Yeah, it would be a huge benefit, and mostly conservative, richest province in Canada. So I look at it this way too. So if Alberta separates and then Saskatchewan follows, who knows what BC does? But all of those, like all of the transfer payments, all of that stuff comes to an end. Quebec would probably be quite upset, but then they're not getting all this money. Ontario's not getting all this money. The powerhouse of Canada. They always say we're the economic powerhouse of Canada. Well, then prove it, do it, and people will have to get to work. So the payola is no longer there. Immediately, Alberta would start, utilizing their resources more because they'll have no tie from the federal government. And then what will happen there in Ontario and Quebec? They'll be incentivized to actually start using their resources to build up their economies. What happens in the greater neighborhood of America, North America? Well, all of these resources, they get put into the marketplace, and then that means commodities come down. Bashing you one more time right now on. You've told me, that's fine. I don't need to hear it. Don't care at all. We're gonna move on from that one. But yeah, if that's what the people want to do. You know who's been bashing me? Well, Alex Zoltan, of course, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. Right after this, Hoof Art Ed. Am I pronouncing that right? With a 1399 says, who will be in power if a referendum is called and vote for separation? And then how will a government be formed? Constitution, etc. Great question. I'm going to refer to the lawyers. I'm definitely going to refer to the lawyers. Now, from what I talked about with Keith Wilson and what he's explained to me, because he's a constitutional lawyer, right? He's a constitutional expert and King's Counsel lawyer. Now he talks about who will be in power if a referendum is called and the vote of separation. Well, that'll be up to the people of Alberta. Now, I think in interim, it would just make sense that the legislature would be the government. That just makes sense to me. And then things would start moving from there. So I don't know all the mechanisms of that, but that sounds like it makes the most sense. Alberta's oil sands hold 97% of the country's oil reserves, about 166.3 billion barrels, and produce 84% of Canada's crude oil. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Ragnar. I really appreciate that. Red Green versus Blue Clyde. There you go. That's Blue Clyde today. Yeah, let's get into this. So Alex Zoltan poking the bear today. Poking the bear and gets into it. It says, my theory on the last Canadian election, you won't like it. That's a bit of the get a load of me. You think my friend's question was bizarre? Just wait till you get a load of mine. Here we go. Canadian conservatives, in quotes, of all stripes, be it right of center, small c, big C, whatever, haven't been very kind over the last few years. And yes, I'm talking about you. So please take this very personally. And of course, a number of our faces in that one. Very notably myself and Marty, of course. Marty was not happy about this. We'll see what some of the other reactions are. So this is the thread. Here's how it goes. He gets into it. To the conservative right wing creator crowd, which I guess I'm part of now. Up until this point, which I'm gonna argue that Alex is kind of on the left. Up until this point, you've been right about absolutely everything. Wait, when have I been wrong? When have we gotten wrong things? You were right about lockdowns, vaccines, about the convoy. You even correctly predicted the US election. Good on ya. I believe I predicted the Canadian election as well. I believe I did successfully. 2, but Trump came and went. The Canadian election came along and everybody started infighting. Like we're at a Greek wedding, but by contrast, Carney crowd, the big tent housing the CBC, the legacy media, and elbows up people marched in uniform with centrist technocratic LinkedIn discipline. Wow. They sure did. Conservative influencers, meanwhile, showed up for open mic nights at Madison Square Rumble. One guy going off incessantly about Canada becoming the 51st state. One on why Joe Rogan podcast would determine the success of Poilievre's campaign. I think that's a bit of a stretch, and another about Alberta's independence. Yikes. There was often no message, just vibes, disconnected, contradictory sometimes, delusional vibes. Poilievre says cut taxes, cool, but Fry says he's not anti-woke enough. Tisdale calls for Canada to be annexed. Marty and Clyde talk about Alberta independence. Yeah, we did. We talked about that would be probably the inevitability if that were to happen. Canada's about to experience hyperinflation. That could be a case. You lost your bet with Marty? No. So I lost the bet on when the election would be, because they pushed it off so much that I bet them a bottle of whiskey, and then I lost that bet because I took the position that they weren't going to do the election when they did. But then we did predictions on who would win the election, and I predicted that the Liberals would get a minority government. Marty predicted it would be the Conservatives with a minority, but I won that bet, so we're square on the bottle of whiskey. I'm not trying to be a dink. I'm part of the same crowd I'm criticizing, just self-reflective. Instead of cohesion, the very right wing, digital scene, as Rosie Barton and David Cochrane would like to describe us, provided people a mushroom tip of coherent grievance politics. Could CPC have done better? Of course. Did they make mistakes? Certainly. Could they have been friendlier to the independent media cohort? Probably. But the content creators didn't do themselves any favors by criticizing the Conservative Party of Canada every step of the way this election either. I wouldn't say it was every step of the way. I think it was like once the writ was dropped, and it was like a giant disappointment, and it went in a separate direction from where anybody had hoped. Perhaps it's the curse of knowing too much. The boomers collectively and unitedly backed the Liberals because they proudly understood nothing, just muttered Trump, Carney, banker, steady hand, RRSPs, and voted. Meanwhile, the CPC influencer crowd were busy fighting each other over who had the correct conspiracy about nomination races, Max Bernier, Davos, Khalistan, U.S. podcasts, CCP influence, fentanyl, immigration, or who did or didn't like Donald Trump too much or enough. The reason we lost is simple, because we couldn't be nice, not even to each other. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of people took offense to this one. So I put this tweet out. I don't know why this is glitching, this image. It glitches and it makes the thing go crazy. But I said, I've always been an independent, right? From the CPC leadership race, I made it very clear you'd never see me wave pom-poms, but it seemed like that's what you're wishing that I and the rest of us had done. I'm not sure lamenting that we didn't behave like a hive mind manner, in a hive mind like manner, like the Liberals did, is a good criticism. I'm not sure. Zeltan's laughing in the chat. There you go. But I don't know why this glitches like this. It's such a weird glitch. Has anyone seen a glitch like this? Look, it just keeps going down. If I hit refresh, it starts from scratch again, but then it just keeps growing. Alex saying nobody says put on pom-poms. I'm making a point about how the political left had a clear and unified, if not uniformed, opinion while we were all arguing about who liked Trump too much or not enough. Their conversations were more productive politically than ours. That's all. And then I said, hold on. Pierre comes out with a bad messaging and I cannot agree with, and that's my fault for not being productive. Am I getting this right? To which Alex said, not exactly what I meant by not to be taken personally. The very personally part was supposed to be satire. His general commentary on the pitfalls of independent coverage. We're all too busy arguing our own opinions while the other side drives an organized narrative. To which I reply, that would be up to the Conservative Party, in my opinion, to put forward a narrative. I would say the independents that follow or supported the Conservatives had a difficulty with that because the party had dropped the ball. We didn't even get to see their plan until a week from the vote. You guys were right to criticize Pierre. I gave the pass for skipping PBD, but when Rogan said he turned him down, the largest show on the planet, yeah, I'm with you on that. Look at this weird glitch. This is so crazy. Never seen a glitch like this before. I just have to keep hitting refresh because it keeps doing this. It just grows. It just grows and grows and grows. I don't know why. I put the GIF in there, but it's just doing this thing. And then it freezes, but just keeps growing. Oh. Wow, that glitch. Yeah, it's such a weird glitch. Okay, so yeah, we had a spat. That was that. I think Marty replied to it very flippantly. Oh, what did Marty say? I spent years exposing the failures of the Liberals. Then I spent months trying to convince Pierre that he should be more conservative, only to be lambasted by my peers. Now this, what makes you a visionary, Alex? Insight is always 20/20, and this commentary of yours is absolutely not appreciated. I'm a private citizen from Alberta. I know it's hard for you and so many others to realize, but I'm not paid by anyone to post my opinions online. That's absolutely true. There was a little back and forth, and I think it ended with a get stuffed. That's what is this glitch? What is this glitch? It's so weird. Oh, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I gotta navigate away from the page. Sorry, I gotta do that. Perhaps we should have spent months convincing people to vote Conservative rather than trying to convince Pierre to be more like us. Yeah, so this is an issue. So here's the thing. I saw a bit of the behind the scenes, like kind of inside baseball stuff. And I'm not going to lie, I'm really disappointed with the Conservative Party. I'm really disappointed with the stuff that I'm seeing out of there. The federal Conservatives are just they're a basket case. Like not a joke, a total basket case. Here's a great Substack that really illustrates a lot of this. This is from Daryl's Substack. This was shared with me this morning, and I know some of the names on this list. And you know what? Nobody's going to come out publicly about this stuff. Nobody's going to, because people have career aspirations. They want to possibly get picked in something else. So they come out against the party. This is the nature of the beast. It really is gross. Like at the end of the day, it really is gross. And the whole reason why people don't like politicians, it really shines in this sort of stuff. So let me wet my whistle before we get into this. Oh, I didn't know I was going in this direction tonight, but hey, why not? Why not? Get that one over there. Crack another one. Every party internally is a basket case. I've heard NDP MLA constituency offices compared to harems and drug bazaars. Wow, that's crazy. As an American, I must admit your leader seemed weak when next to real power. Yeah, talking about Carney, we'll get into that in a minute because that's just crazy. Right now, we're talking about the Conservatives that lost. So reflections on the long-range mountainous nomination and what I've discovered since. This is written by Daryl Shelley. For quite some time, I've considered sharing my experience with the January 2024 Conservative nomination race in long-range mountains. Last week, While listening to the Richard Syrett show, I heard of compelling segment analyzing how the Conservative Party lost such a significant lead in the recent election. The conversation touched on a range of factors from speculation about elections, Canada, irregularities, and commentary on Mark Carney's appeal to older voters. Inspired by that discussion, I reached out to Richard via email to see if I might have a brief opportunity, just 2 minutes, to share my own story. To surprise and appreciation, he responded promptly, and our conversation evolved into invitation for me to appear as a featured guest on the show. I began preparing for the next 20-minute segment by outlining what happened to me, Rob Coles, during the Long Range Mountain nomination. As I reflected further, revisited, blah, blah, blah. Where do we get into some of this stuff? Oh, okay. It's right here. I revisited other nomination battles, including what unfolded in the Avalon riding, where Steve Kent's nomination victory raised serious questions after Jessica Babb and Brandon O'Brien were effectively sidelined. I also reviewed message from former nomination contestants who reached out to me last year, leading to even more conversations. What began as a personal account quickly evolved into a larger investigation. I discovered troubling patterns in 14 ridings, affected at least 22 candidates. The fallout extended beyond the nominees. It touched their families, volunteers, donors, and local EDA members. Some were disqualified after signing up thousands of members without any clear explanation. Others, like former BC MLA Mike DeJong, with 3 decades of political service, were abruptly cast aside and forced to run independently. I heard about a doctor in Mississauga who reportedly was misled out of $60,000 by Conservative insiders, only to receive the same vague, incomplete application notice I received a year earlier. The deeper I looked, the more I uncovered. This issue is larger than any one individual. It's a systemic problem that deserves attention. Below is a list of affected candidates and ridings, along with a link to my Substack, where I compiled the data and provided references. I'd like to thank the Richard Syrett Show for giving me the opportunity to speak. I encourage everyone to tune in and listen to the discussion, as it's a conversation worth having. I hope there's a link somewhere here so everybody can go check that out at some point. But yeah, here's a whole list of people where they were forced to step down. Lawyer removed somebody. Campaigned for 16 months and signed up hundreds, and then they were forced to step down. Disqualified, campaigned for a year, signed up over 2,000 members. We have another one, disqualified and attempted to delay the nomination process in court. Somebody dropped out. Why? Not sure. Campaigned for a year, signed up over 580 members, dropped out. Sabrina Maddow dropped out. Disqualified by CPC for being pro-life. Wow, that's an interesting one. Signed up 1,460 members and was duped out of $60,000. Former riding president who, after a decade with the party, canceled his membership, campaigned for a year and was gone. Was told there would be no nomination race. Wyatt Claypool, we know him, was given no reason, just you're out. This is the thing. What's up with the lack of the like button? What is up with the lack of the like button? G-Meister reminding everybody. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Yeah, hit that like button, folks. I guess if I don't remind people, they just don't do it. This is the way it works. And I get it. You forget. But that like button's right down there. It helps out a ton. So just get those numbers way up. That would be awesome. So yeah, this is some of the stuff that I've been hearing, and this is just more of this stuff that it just totally. This is the thing. it makes me feel gross about supporting any of these people. And I'm talking about, like, it's not just the candidates, but there's like tons and tons of people that help with fundraising and help with their own time and all this other stuff. And then they get just kicked to the curb. Do you have any videos on the state of BC politics involving David Eby? Wyatt was been hammering them out as they're really good. Would like to hear about it from your side. I don't have any recent videos about that. Wyatt's good. He likes to get into the nitty gritty of the very like little nitty gritty things that politicians do. I don't typically do that. I stay back and I talk about like actual stories, like news stories that are happening. Politicians just drive me nuts, and the more I learn about them, the more I realize I don't want to have anything to do with most of them. It's just a thing. I always hit the like button because I like Clyde. Thank you, Loretta Jones. Appreciate that. If your entire election campaign coverage is going to be about criticizing the Conservative Party, you might as well apply for federal government media subsidies. That's not what my entire thing was. Maybe that's all you caught, but that wasn't my entire thing. You're next. Clyde, do nothing. I'm next. Oh, okay. Thanks for doing something, KTS. You typed on a keyboard. I appreciate that. Carlos Cesar cut off. It's totally cut off. Why does it cut it off? But Carlos, thank you so much for the $2. I have a lazy button. It's quite slippery. There you go. There you go. Appreciate that. Clyde, you're going to Texas and dissing Pierre. Are those two things mutually exclusive? I don't know. No, I can diss Pierre. I mean, there's no issue with that. If I think he didn't do a good job, that's my point of view. You can have another point of view if that's your point of view. I'm not a fan of government spending or government services. I'd rather they cut spending and services. I agree. CBC has no better candidate than PP, and that is unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. So like, and that's the thing. So a lot of people want to say, well, Pierre, give him a break. He had bad management. But the thing is, like, well, if you have bad management, who hires the manager? And if the manager is doing a bad job, you can't choose a better one? That's my opinion on that. I love Pierre, and I got to throw this one at Zoltan though. Alex, if you don't, I wasn't planning to talk about Pierre and the election and all this stuff. You brought that in, so that's the thing. Clyde, I will debate you anytime you want. Why? What are you gonna debate? That you did something? I don't know, because you just called me Clyde Do Nothing. Is that a debate? I love your channel. Thank you. Appreciate that. Pretty sure I kicked Epstein in the shins in the Eaton Center in the 80s. I want to see the footage. I want to see. That's hilarious. Carney spent $33 billion today on the heels a BOC saying we're broke. At the heels of Canada, yeah, the Bank of Canada saying that we're broke. Yeah, they said we're broke. And it's all because of the tariffs, right? That's that 10 years of a liberal government, and now it's tariffs that are the problem here. Love your work. Don't fret on all these haters. Oh, I'm not fretting at all. Not at all. You're not covering everything important to your flock. Well, what you want a job? I pull wrenches 8 hours a day, and then I wake up early in the morning. I do news stories. I then do interviews in the evening. I somehow find time for my wife and kids, and I'm meeting some friends on the weekend this weekend. So for the do nothing comment, I don't know what more I could do. What would you like? Why don't you go to the website, find the contact email, and send me your CV. tell me what you can bring to the table. Ragnar Lodbrok for 5 says, Clyde, Trump knew anything he did, libs would use it against him. PP should have done the same. Fear of their bias won't stop their bias. Fair point. Thank you so much. Bobby Cat, still have these jugs of Jack Daniels you and Marty need to help me out with. Date and time, let me know. You're amazing. Love your channel. Thank you. Appreciate that. Clyde, they're jello just like Derek. Aw, boo. Oh, that shucks. Clyde, you're escaping the sinking ship. It affects your perspective. So my plans for leaving predate all of this stuff. That's a fact, and it has to do with affordability. It really just is that. So I don't think it predate. I don't think it changes my perspective, because my perspective is based on all the things around, not just that where I'm gonna be. It has nothing to do. In fact, I would like to see Canada move in the right direction. That it has nothing to do with that. You're better than nothing. I love that one, Peter. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you. Have a beer on me. Okay. Let's get into some of the other things that I wanted to talk about. Because yeah, Pierre Polyev is like, okay, cool. He might win a. Have you ever been to Texas? You'd feel the same way. That's a good point. Texas is great. Stop engaging with me if I'm not right, my fellow Canadian and brother. I'm trying to help reach the hard reality of Canada. Okay, keep reaching. Alberta first, not 50 first. G Meister with that one. That's a great one. Yeah, the USA chants. I love all the patriotism. I really absolutely do. That was one of the great things about Texas, is just how patriotic everybody is, and so proud of being Texan. That's the other thing. Clyde isn't even a real journalism, but we like him all the same. I love that. Beard needs to fire his campaign team, in my opinion. And that's the thing. So like I had no idea, right? So I brought it up with Jeff Rath about Pierre running in Alberta, and he was like, "Stay in Ottawa." That was his thing. You left ages ago. Stay in Ottawa. You don't represent Alberta. When you ran for office in the general election for prime minister, didn't have it, like, wouldn't touch Alberta subjects, like just wouldn't touch it out of the fear the Quebecers wouldn't vote. Quebecers don't vote conservative anyway. What do you care? Anyway, enough of that. Let's get into some of these news stories that are coming out of Canada. This one, I guess, am I gonna get people more angry? I didn't really want for this. We'll do this, and then we'll move on to some other things that are more inspiring or whatever. This one is a bit of a piss off. If you get angry easily, maybe I don't know, do something else. CBC Alberta has a trend calling people asking for opinions on separating Mark Carney, etc. Oh, okay. I voted conservative in Quebekistan. LOL. Okay, yeah, but I mean, like, just look at the votes. It's Liberal and Bloc Québécois. It cycles back and forth between those two. Former Kelowna high school teacher found not guilty of child luring. Yeah, too late. You read the headline, of course. So this is a story from very recent here in beautiful British Columbia. Jeffrey Allen Jennings cried as the decision was read by judge. Why was he crying? He got off. Anyway, this guy, he was a teacher, and he thought it was okay to have, let's just say, sexually explicit conversations with a student, minor, underage kid. The former Rutland senior secondary teacher was arrested in May 2023 after investigation by the Kelowna sex crimes units regarding messages with a former student sent via Instagram on May 12, 2023. The messages were read in court and included sexual content, but Judge Heinrichs told the court Crown did not prove Jensen's intentions behind the messages were a means to facilitate an offense beyond a reasonable doubt. This is crazy. So this is the activist judges that we have in this country. They say this kind of crap. I don't know why. Age is just a thing kind of people. It's absurd. The messages sent from Jennings on May 12th, 2023 included him stating that he was looking at the student's photo on their story again and again, turned me on a lot, followed by messages of wanting to see more of AP's body, such as he liked seeing an AP in a miniskirt, like it when AP touched his knee, and liked it when AP talked about his chicken lamp, which was discussed in court, with the student previously commenting that the lamp in Jennings' classroom by saying, "Can you turn on your another word for male chicken?" Jennings' defense team argued during the trial that the accused was trying to teach the student a lesson about posting sexualized photos online. Jennings had been drinking at the time and sent the messages when the students disengaged from the conversation. The defense argued Jennings panicked and abandoned his original plan. There is, in some sense, to his... Anyway, this is crazy. This is just crazy that this is the kind of news that's coming out of British Columbia, the stuff that people are able to get away with in this province. I just wanted to juxtapose this because of the juxtaposition of what just came out of Kash Patel's mouth recently. This is the head of the FBI under Donald Trump's America in the United States. Here's what he had to say.
I also want to just take a moment to emphasize the priority of this Department of Justice and this FBI. Our children. If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted. And that is a refreshing thing to hear for the men and women who do this work tirelessly. And it's also an acknowledgement of the safety that we look forward to bringing America. As the Attorney General mentioned, there are a couple of cases worth highlighting.
So that is I just wanted to share that because there is hope out there that people are not crazy and this kind of thing can come forward. There is law enforcement that would like to do their job, and this is the kind of thing. Sheridan Forbes saying stop sending your kids to public schools. When talking to Nadine Ness, who is a criminal profiler, so this is the thing, and you still get these attacks on religious people. I'm not particularly religious, but I find it like punching down at this point because religious people don't really seem to have any power in society, but often get this like, oh, the Catholics, blah, blah, blah. So it turns out predators are not going to the Catholic Church anymore. This isn't where they're going. It turns out that where they are going is the public schools. The public school system seems to be the place where a lot of these predators are congregating. And this, as I said, Nadine Ness, who worked for the RCMP as a criminal profiler, would attest to this and said so on the show. This is really where they're going, and I can't disagree with you at all on that one. So yeah, hope is out there that possibly we could get rid of that kind of stuff moving forward. Now let's get into some of these other stories. What should we talk about first? I mean, because there is the. Forget it. We were already talking about Alberta separation, so let's get into this. Will Danielle Smith steer Alberta away from separation, or will this train keep gathering steam? This is what we're getting into. Most supporters of Premier UCP now prefer the province leaving Canada. Well, why do you think that's the case? When Premier Danielle Smith speaks, she's still placing the Canadian flags behind her in among the Alberta provincial flags. That is just how it is. You're not writing anything of interest in that sentence. That's just always how it's been. It's Canadian flags and Alberta flags. What are you doing? It's crazy. As much as critics insist she's either a separatist herself or she's opening the door wide to the Alberta secessionist movement by easing the rules to have a referendum next year, the Premier herself maintains that she wants Alberta to stay within the country. Acknowledging something exists is not the same as fanning it. Smith told the Alberta podcast Real Talk with Ryan Jesperson on Tuesday. My job is to make sure it doesn't get any higher. My job is to make sure it gets lower. Now, this is a thing that she's been saying, and this is one of those things where it just kind of gets almost irritating. It's almost irritating when you start hearing just the frequency that this question keeps coming back. If you get your answer, journalists out there, if you get your answer and it's not the answer that you like, it's just because that's the answer. It's not the answer that you'd like. That's just the reality. That's the way it is. Unfortunately, this is what we got. So do I start at the beginning? I don't think I want to go through the whole thing, but she gets to the point where she starts asking that question. Are you supporting separatism?
Quebecois is polling highest of the provincial parties, and we also see that the Bloc won a significant number of seats. I don't want to see that happen. I want to see us identify the issues that matter to people. Let's not demonize people. Let's acknowledge that the feelings that they have a root, and the root is in the way Alberta has been treated for the last 10 years by the Liberals. So that's genuine, and I'm being very direct with the Prime Minister and saying if we can solve some of these things, I think that will bring the temperature down, and that's what I'll continue to do.
Ooh, I like that. Danielle Smith is naive, and if she thinks Carney is going to meet her part way, she's totally naive if that's just what she thinks. Again, she has her ultimatum for the federal government, for the Prime Minister. And what's the and or else? The or else is we'll sue you more. It really just comes down to that. I agree with you. Homeschool your kids, but not everyone has that ability to do so. Yeah, well, exactly. We don't homeschool our kids, and my wife's not into that. She buys into that whole thing of what is it? If you homeschool your kids, they'll be weird, you know. And then, but if you don't homeschool your kids, like what happens to them? Like some of the stuff that's coming out of school is pretty weird. If you ask me, I don't know. I wish my wife was into it. She is not. Danielle Smith is playing the game. She's playing the game. That's what we're hearing.
If the vote is yes, would you pursue separation as premier?
So this is where it starts getting irritating. And I want you to sit here and get irritated with me. This is what we do on a Friday night. We sit here and we get irritated together. The amount of times she asked the question, Vashti just asked the question, harps on it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's a thing. The kids are way more high functioning in Japan, in my opinion. I'd agree with you. I'd agree with you there.
I have always said that I do not support separation. I support Alberta sovereignty within a united Canada. That's what our party supports as well. It's in our statement of principles. It's what my caucus supports. And that's...
Hi, Clyde. I watched you since the truckers. I do worry about the Canadian dollar crashing if Alberta leaves. I'm in BC. Should worry about that. I'm not kidding. You should worry about that. Absolutely. And you know, now's the time. Now's the time to think about it. If you have savings, things like that, and they're in dollar dues, perhaps get them out of dollar dues. Not everything. Perhaps, buy some commodity stocks, things like that, talk to a broker. But precious metals is definitely a way to go. Absolutely a good option for you. And I've got friends over at New World Precious Metals, and they've been helping people out a ton, make it easy. And you're not buying like gold stocks or something like that. You're actually buying the physical bullion, and at a really good rate, by the way, at a really good rate. And it's a great way to just hedge inflation. It's not a get rich quick thing. It's gold maintains value, and as they inflate currencies, this is the kind of thing. So if you want, pause the screen right now and just get that QR code, head on over to that link and talk to the awesome guys, talk to them over at New World Precious Metals. They'll hook you up, and tell them I sent you. That's really good. But yeah, be worried about that. Absolutely.
That's my marching orders, is to do what we can to make sure that our autonomy is respected, the Constitution is respected, some of these damaging policies are removed, and I think we can end up with a deal that works not only for Alberta but for the entire country.
So do I take that even if the vote is yes, that you would not pursue separation in your capacity as Premier?
My job is to make sure it doesn't get to yes. My job is to make sure that the temperature is brought down so much that there isn't even a need for a citizen-initiated referenda. And so I think that the Prime Minister has a window here in the next 6 months to be able to meaningfully address the issues that we've put on the table. And if he does,
no, he's not.
We can have
He threatens
really
women.
Constructive conversation about making the entire country an economic powerhouse, finding new markets, tearing down internal trade barriers. That's what I'm going to be focused on in the next 6 months.
And I have a few questions about those policies that you would certainly want him to consider.
Are you going to ask
But
the same damn
saying
question?
that, you don't want to get to the vote is not the same as saying that you wouldn't pursue it if it is a yes vote. Just to be clear to Canadians who are watching in Alberta and outside.
Again, this just to be clear thing. Just to be clear. Just to be clear. I want you to answer the same question. Just to be clear again. Can I ask you the same question and waste more of your time? Just to be clear.
Alberta, if the citizens of your province vote to separate, are you going to pursue that?
What I have said is that I will respect the outcome of citizen-initiated referenda, and that's why it's my job to make sure it doesn't get to that point. I want Canada to be strong and united, and for provincial jurisdiction to be respected, and that's what I'll be working towards.
Surely, though, you can recognize, Premier, that the feasibility, even if the vote were to go ahead, is incredibly complicated, and some.
It's so complicated. Why would you even bother? Why would you do something that's complicated? That's terrible. What if the first time I looked at an engine, I was told that by the people around me, all the people around me, don't bother trying to fix that. It's complicated. That's a complicated thing. Why would you go in there and get all complicated? You don't want to do that. Stay out of the complicated area. I don't know, Ontario and Quebec and all these places, probably the place where Vashi's from, benefits largely from the transfer payments that Alberta pays, but separating would relieve you of all of that, but it could be complicated. It might get that could be irritating, and then you might get stressed out or something. You don't want to get into that.
Some of the, for example, Indigenous people in your province have highlighted that, healthcare transfers. How does your system work without them? Is it responsible to
what did she say?
Healthcare transfers? How do
healthcare transfers work if you don't give us sorry, if you don't give us an absolute crap ton of money and then have us give a little bit of it back to you? How would you get your health transfers, man? How would that happen if we didn't take all the money from you guys and then hand some back to you? Is that an argument? That is one of the funniest arguments out there. It's like how would you get your carbon tax rebate if we didn't carbon tax you? What? You're not gonna get your carbon tax rebate anymore. You're gonna be so poor, man. But then it became an election issue, and it's like, no, we gotta get rid of the carbon tax. Yeah, forget about the carbon tax rebates. It actually cost you more money. It cost you more money. But don't separate, because how are you gonna get your health transfers payments back? How are you gonna get that money back? It's incredible. Like, I started crunching the numbers yesterday with a friend, and we were looking at like just how much money the average Albertan would save if they just got rid of the federal government. Like, see you later, federal government. And it's like, okay, well, how much money comes into the province to pay for a bunch of the things? Far less than is paid out in transfer payments. And where did the transfer payment money come from? It comes from tax revenue within the province. So like the people will get taxed by the federal government and federal taxes, and then the money that's generated within the economy and tax in provincial tax goes to the government. And then they're like, but how are you gonna get that rebate? How you gonna get that rebate, Alberta? What are you gonna do?
How does your system work without them? Like, they're, is it responsible to leave?
So how does your system, well, so it's just about the money. It's just about the funding. They can find the funding. The province runs the healthcare system. It's not a federal run system at all. It's crazy. GST on the carbon tax is criminal AF. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's crazy. Don't need the rebate, lol. No thanks, keep the rebate. And the tax, like, I don't want to give it to you. It ain't happening. Don't want to give it to you. Clyde, you and me are. Wait, so Clyde, you are a re mechanic. No real knowledge. Oh, dude, you're just being mean now. Oh, that's crazy. I'm a diagnostician, KTS. I'm a diagnostician, so yeah, I'm certified. You're just mean. Trying to be a jerk. Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Let's get back to this.
Leave that door open in any way?
Well, I think that's up to constitutional scholars and to lawyers to discuss. At the moment, there isn't a petition campaign. There isn't a question. All there is I think...
You're not even a real mechanic. You're not even a real mechanism. That's right. Oh, that's funny. Oh, you got me with that one.
Some goodwill in trying to be able to resolve some of the issues that have burbled up over the last 10 years. And that's what my intention is going to be. But you may have to talk to a legal scholar about some of those issues. But there has been Supreme Court jurisprudence on this that has given some direction. And that may be a starting point for scholars to look into it.
I'm not even talking legally, though. I'm literally picturing Alberta, where you and I both know I lived for almost 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I hung out there for 10 minutes. I know all the things about it. I lived there for 5 years. Let me tell you how complicated this is.
With a healthcare system that does not have healthcare transfers, like how does that? Let's take the law out of it. Shouldn't you be honest with Albertans who are expressing this sentiment, which is, I understand, not coming from a place that isn't unfounded completely. That sentiment is not something to be dismissed. But shouldn't you be honest with them about what it would mean if they were to vote yes, and now that you've opened the door to following their instruction, what that would mean for their social services, for their health care, for a whole host of things?
I think you're getting ahead of yourself, Ashley. There is no question. There is no petition campaign. There is no vote. All there is me saying that I support a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada, and that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that those issues are not ones that we have to deal with. I want Albertans to feel like their issues are addressed.
What do they say on those court TV shows? They say, "Your Honor, badgering the witness," badgering the interviewee. Unbelievable.
That's what my mandate is, and that's what I'll be working towards. I've said I'm not putting forward a provincial sponsored referendum on that issue. If citizens garner enough signatures, it will be put on a ballot, but it's certainly not something we're doing as a government.
See, this is a thing that really it makes me laugh, because we keep hearing about this democracy. But when there's democracy, the left hate it. The left absolutely hate the idea of democracy. They're completely against democracy, because democratic rule, like the idea of the people coming together and making a decision, this is the exact idea here. A democratically decided thing. You're talking about a citizen-led initiative. The politician is staying out of it. And you're saying, but shouldn't you step in? Shouldn't you step in and thwart that, Miss Danielle Smith? Shouldn't you, yeah, democracy. Yeah, like, are you serious? When real democracy comes out of the woodwork and says, hey, let's try some of that democracy. Let's have a democratically, a democratic vote on what we're going to do with our future. And you want the premier to step in and say, but it's complicated. It's complicated. You shouldn't even allow it. You kidding me? This is happening all over the world. This isn't just a recent phenomenon. Here's a video I caught just the other day from Starmer Out. Posted this. It's insane how this keeps happening. I wonder if I can put this on the big screen and do the chat thing. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, it works so beautifully. Look at that. Look at that. RC Lamoureux for $10 says, call me a certified nutcase, but Bill and Hillary Clinton run the Canadian and all provincial governments. Politicians and bureaucrats have one goal: to have Canada swallowed up by America. I'm not going to call you a certified nutcase, but I don't see that. I just don't see that one. First I heard of it was the other night with you in the super chats, but news to me, that whole concept. But let's get into this, because this is around the world. Anywhere where the left has a stranglehold, they want to stop democracy.
Good morning from the end times. Europe is not democratic. Europe is a totalitarian communist state system. Yesterday, the German secret services announced that they believe the AfD, the Alternative for Germany political party, is classifiable as right-wing extremist, which means that the German parliament will be allowed to ban the AfD from participating in elections, probably next year, despite the AfD being now the #2 party in the nation. Right? And meanwhile, police officers, teachers, and military personnel will not be allowed to be members of this party any longer.
Oh, banned.
In France, of course, Marine Le Pen was convicted. She was the leader of the Rassemblement National, set to be president of France, and she will not be allowed to participate in the elections. Although her party hasn't been banned yet, and the #2, Bardella, will be allowed to run, but he, of course, is less popular. In the Netherlands, a law has been passed already that...
So keep this in mind when Carney says we're actually we're a more European than North American country. Keep this in mind when Carney says this stuff, and you keep hearing this, like, we're so much closer to the European side of things than we are than like Americans. We're very close to Europeans.
Will come in effect in 2026, next year, saying that the High Court judges will be allowed to ban political parties simply for disagreeing too much with whatever you're not allowed to disagree with, such as the FVD party, the Forum for Democracy, which I expect may be banned next year then. Of course, it doesn't end there. I have a whole list here of other countries in Europe that are messing with democratic values. In Estonia, a small country, they have about 80,000 Russian citizens who've been living there since the collapse of the Soviet Union, the 1990s, but they have been stripped of their voting rights because they might vote pro-Russian. In Romania, of course, Georgescu had already won the elections and was then banned from becoming president because he was too pro-Russian. Another candidate in Romania was also banned from...
Not European, not American, we're Canadian. Well, you're North American. You're more American than you are Canadian, or you're more American than you are European. Absolutely. But no, this is for real. Mark Carney's all on this, like, we're European. We're very much a European country. We just happen to be in North America. And this is probably why, because he aligns more with this stuff.
From participating. Even though even now we have new elections in Romania and the people still vote right-wing and still kind of vote pro-Russian, but of course NATO and the EU will tell that country what to do with the results. We can be sure of that. In Moldavia, there is a autonomous region called Gagauzia, and the leader of the political party who won in that region has been arrested. In Spain, the socialist government has decided that all media outlets need to register with a media registry so that the government will
Sound
decide
familiar?
who your directors and shareholders will be allowed to be.
Wow.
Croatia also has passed laws, like many other countries, saying that if you disagree with the government, basically you're guilty of disinformation and you can go to jail for up to 5 years. You're not allowed to have freedom of speech in Europe. And then, of course, we have countries like Belgium, also the Netherlands and Denmark, where you have a system of a cordon sanitaire. So imagine in a multi-party political system, you have 7 parties in parliament, but one of them, who won 30% of the vote, is considered unlikable by the communist elites. What happens is the other 6 parties will then refuse to work with that pariah, with that scapegoat party. They will not allow any propositions of that party to come through. Basically, that party, despite having won a large portion of the popular vote, will not be allowed to participate democratically. And then, of course, in Greece, you also have the fake news laws that will put you in jail for 5 years. And famously, in Italy, although Italy got its Giorgia Meloni, who was supposed to be a far-right woman, even flirting with the fascists,
Yeah, phony
turns out
baloney.
she's just another woke ideologue who cares more about replacing Italians with immigrants than about Italians. Now, and if you disagree with any of this, of course, they'll call you a Putin lover and a pro-Russian spy. But my point is this.
Been hearing that a little bit lately, haven't we? anyone who disagrees with this is a Putin lover, and maybe he's getting emails, and you're probably responding to those and going along with it.
It's always been those leftists and Democrats and socialists always hammering down their point that democracy is the most important thing ever. But it's them dismantling democracy. As soon as the people, for example, the people of Eastern Europe, started voting against the interests of the European Union.
Oh, yard prep? No, phony Maloney. That's that's what they got in Italy. Holy cow! Yeah. Oh yeah, you're a Russian bot and paid for, apparently. don't answer your emails.
And started voting against NATO interests. All of a sudden, NATO starts telling you,
good to hear, G. Did I get my Russian kickback yet? No, it didn't come. Or did it? Because I didn't report that one.
who your president is allowed to be. That's not democratic. My point is, I want leftists, socialists, and so on, that clique of people, to come out publicly and admit that they don't care about democracy and that they are, in fact, totalitarian communists.
I love this guy. I don't know who he is. I want to look him up. The great JMK. I gotta look him up because that guy is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Because yeah, they are. They're totalitarian communists. That's their ideology. Or what would you call them? Fascists? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of names for the different brands of socialism. And yes, fascism is one of them. It absolutely is. And that's what we got. That's what we got. We got with Mark Carney. And when you start seeing articles like this, National Post, this isn't some fringe website. It's crazy. This is this is it. Prime Minister, why does it say it twice? Prime Minister Mark Carney cannot be trusted with our charter protected right of free speech. Cannot be trusted with it. Why? Because, well, he's already promised that he's going to take it away. This is what he said in the campaign trail.
North American online platforms have become seas of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all its forms. And they're being used by criminals to harm our children. My government will act. And today we're announcing our plan to fight crime, to protect Canadians, and to build communities that are safe, secure, and strong. A plan to make Canada secure, to make Canada strong.
Yep.
American online.
What was that at the end? Holy cow. That's one angry dog. You just did not like that video. I didn't catch that the first time around, seeing that video. But yeah, no, we're gonna put an end to social media on the internet so Canadians can't view it. There's another country that does that. Can anyone guess in the comments? Is there a country that they have perhaps what they call the Great Firewall? Anyone? Throw it in there. Let's see if anybody's. North Korea, China, Russia. Does Russia have a Great Wall? The UK. Oh, isn't that true though? Ain't that true? I feel safer. How do you protect? How does he plan to protect Canadians from government? No, he is the government. You look up Maloney, and the latest still says she is anti-woke. So what was her criticism? People are saying that her actions aren't anti-woke. She's still doing all the DEI stuff, pushing forward with all of it. Definitely China. Soon China. Oh, crazy. So we got a visit. Well, we didn't have a visit. Our prime minister made a visit. That was a thing that happened. Where am I? So we got a visit. I guess that's my American side saying we got a visit from the communist leader of Canada. Oh, put this one out there. Canadian boomers waiting for those elbows to go up, but only seeing thumbs up. Yikes. Isn't that scary? Oh, just terrifying. What was it that I saw today, actually? Just recently. This was before we got into all of that nonsense. So this was a thing that's popping up. Shazzy on X saying Ontario real estate is on the express train down. It doesn't matter if you're in Ontario, Ottawa, Toronto, Ottawa, Cambridge, or Niagara. Ontario real estate is going down and going down fast. This is where we're at with that. Maxwell's friend wants to totally protect our kids. Right. Yeah, it's for the children. Sent you a DM in Discord from Fox Nest earlier today. What about? Dirt. Oh, Fox News. Oh, okay. So from their perspective, I do want to look at this first before we get into that. So yeah, these are homes that are selling for way less. $400K loss on this house, $310,000 loss, and so this is on a website that shows the selling prices. So what people paid for it and then sold it for. And lots of people losing big money. $400,000 lost on that house. That's a lot of money to lose. I put this out here. Elbows up, equity down. It's not good. Sorry, boomers. Hoping for that. And again, before I get all the backlash, not all boomers. Angus Reid poll shows 55% support for Alberta separation in post-election. I wouldn't doubt that. I'm gonna guess that because Angus Reid polls, they only poll like what Angus Reid subscribers. That's it's gonna skew the data in towards not wanting to separate. So a 55%, I'd imagine, would be higher than that. Oh, I see me now. My other account was showing up. Okay. There you are. There you are. It is. And that's without equity tax that Carney is going to implement. Yeah, but there is no equity tax if your equity is going down. You don't have to pay an equity tax on that. You're just going to lose your money. You're just going to lose it all. That's not good. That's really not good. Now, one thing about the Trump and Carney meeting that I wanted to go over. Now, G Meister sent me this clip. This is a YouTube bit. He says, go to the 35 minutes in, and they zoom in on Carney's face as Trump is telling him that the U.S. doesn't want anything from Canada. So I'll scroll to the 35-minute mark. That's right. 35 minutes, 34, 30. There we go. So Fox News is the one to, well, everybody else is saying Carney did a great job. Holy cow, superhero Carney. This is the Fox News coverage of
A little
it.
blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation, but we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada, and we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak.
So this is all very bad news for Carney, because he's going to go back home and he's going to have to tell the steel workers, America doesn't want any steel from you anymore. He's going to have to tell the auto manufacturers, America doesn't want any cars from you anymore. They just don't want it.
We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum
Here
and
comes the
various
zoom.
other things, because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us, and there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that
cringe.
will have
I
to
have
be able
not seen
to
this
take care of itself
footage.
economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election, but when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we...
I can't believe they're just
why are we
holding on
taking your
his
cars?
face.
Why are we taking your... We want to make them
no.
ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or
Oh
if we put a tariff...
boy.
If we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said that would mean the end
why
of
aren't
Canada. He
his
actually
elbows
said that
up?
to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're gonna, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number, and it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, "Gee whiz,
that
we
does
love doing
not
that."
look good.
Thank you very much. We're going to have a very substantial.
But thank you very much. Don't get a word in edgewise. Nothing. Oh, whoa. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. No way. Carney looks meek. Such a wonderful job. Oh, no. Oh, man. Oh, ouch. That's a stinger. That is a stinger. Now, I listened to the conference before, but I didn't watch it, especially with that footage. Gee, thank you for that, honestly. G Meister, big shout out for getting that one on the screen. Anyone with behavior analysis skills can see Carney is being whipped around. That's right. That's what everybody voted for. Come on. He's going to be the guy with the elbows up. And this is why Trump wanted him. Trump totally wanted this guy. He wanted him, and it was called. It was predicted. This is great video of this guy doing an analysis on this. What is it? The rogue lawyer giving the analysis on this, saying exactly this. He wants a liberal.
Donald Trump does more press media interviews than any president in the history of the United States. Pierre Poilievre is not talking to media. He's at his best in those clips where he rips apart dumb.
He don't criticize Pierre. You make it sound like your entire coverage is of him. Sorry, that's for you, Alex.
I'm journalists. I don't know what's going to come in Canada, but I actually think Donald Trump now, what started off as a lark, I think he just thought Trudeau was weak and Trudeau was taking shots at him after he won the election. And so he said, hey, you're just the governor of a small state. We can do whatever. And then when he saw the overreaction, Trump just doesn't back down from a fight. And I believe that he thinks that having the Liberal Mark Carney win will lead to a quicker destruction of Canada so that it's easier to pick up the pieces. That's why I think he's endorsing Mark Carney, because nothing about Canada right now is merit-based. Nothing about Canada is about doing hard things. Our military is an absolute joke. Our criminal defense system, even though I work in it, isn't dealing with crime. Our cities are completely falling apart. We're spending more money. We probably are wasting
The criminal justice system is dealing with people who dissent against the government. If you're dissenting against citizens, that's no problem, but dissenting against the government, oh man, you're gonna deal with the most lawfare out there. Steve's Hyde, good to see you again, Steve's, with a $5 super chat. Elbows down, unfortunately, for Carney and for us. Yes, absolutely.
Proportionately more money than the US. We're all paying 50% or more when you add up all of the taxes. Like, why would any entrepreneur come here? Trump is actually instituting policies, if people pay attention, that will make the US 10 times stronger. He's making people proud to be part of something that's specific. It's not saying just come over here and shit on my country. Just like there's been a festival of just shitting on the best countries in the world by people who haven't made anything great in their own countries.
That's absolutely correct. By people who haven't made anything great in their own countries. I don't know. Mark Carney. Yeah. That's where we're at with that. Holy. But where was I going with this one? There's so much to cover on this one. Where was I? I had some more clips that I wanted to get into with Mark Carney. There we go. But this is the coverage that so most of us Canadians, we see the Canadian coverage and we see what's being talked about Mark Carney from the Canadian perspective, and it's just oh, he's so great. Look how wonderful he handled the Donald Trump situation, and he won that exchange. He didn't win that exchange at all. Like, he absolutely did not win that exchange. In fact, if anybody came out of that better, it was Donald Trump, and I'll get into that. But here's what's his name, Hannity, talking about this. This is from Ryan Garrettson on Twitter, on X, sorry. Says, reminder, Carney and others were under investigation in the U.S. for being part of the climate cartel. This is a real thing. Fox News here bringing up many of the things that we have been trying to tell Canadians about Carney for months.
Canada's new far-left prime minister, he once threatened to seize capital from companies that do not advance Canada's climate radical agenda. Take a look.
We need to ultimately get to a point where every financial decision is taking climate change into account, the impact on the transition, and we actually drop the adjective sustainable, because it's just what finance professionals do. On the risk side, we need the banks to look at the risks around the climate transition, which then flip to opportunities. On the opportunity side, it's really about looking for and at transition plans from all companies and backing those who are part of the solution and taking capital away from those who are part of the problem.
Now, in addition to using the climate crisis to impose government control over businesses, a.k.a. socialism, Carney is also a big fan of censorship. In fact, in April, he threatened America's social media platforms with a not-so-veiled shot at X. Take a look at this.
Large American online platforms have become seas of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate.
It sounds like Hillary Clinton. Remember that old segment? Islamophobic, the basket of deplorables. Let me find that real quick before we move on, because the basket of deplorables is just such a moment. Yeah, basket of deplorables. Do they have actually the? Here it is. I think this is it.
I think we know what we're up against. We do, don't we? Donald Trump has pledged to appoint Supreme Court justices who will overturn marriage equality. And if you read about the people that he says are the ones he's likely to appoint, he's not kidding. In fact, if you look at his running mate signed a law that would have let businesses discriminate against LGBT Americans. And there's so much more that I find deplorable in his campaign.
Listen to
the way
this.
that he cozies up to white supremacists, makes racist attacks, calls women pigs, mocks people with disabilities. You can't make this up. He wants to round up
You can.
and
She
deport
did.
16 million people, calls our military a disaster. And every day he says something else which I find so personally offensive,
The
but
classics.
also
Yeah.
dangerous. Don't see the latest outrageous, offensive, inappropriate comment and think, well, he's done this time. We are living in a volatile political environment. You know, to just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Right?
Half of Trump supporters are in a basket
The
of
racist,
deplorables.
sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. And unfortunately, there are people like that.
Yeah, there are people dumb enough to say something like this. There are people like that. That's Mark Carney with his basket of deplorables.
Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all its forms. And
Only Rosie O'Donnell. Absolutely. That's the one.
they're being used by criminals to harm our children. My government will act.
Just to be clear, that there is no free speech in Canada. If you say or write something the government finds offensive or labels as misinformation, you can actually get arrested. Carney is offended by our freedom of speech. He seemingly wants to ban our social media platforms from his country and shut down all dissent. He wants to use the climate crisis hoax as an excuse to steal from our businesses and control their means of production inside of Canada. So the president is right to hold them accountable. Now, the great part of our friendship will absolutely continue. If needed, we will always defend Canada, but the free ride part, that part's over.
That part is over. That part is absolutely over. And this is a little glimpse into that. This is a great thread that I saw today. The Art of the Deal from Rod D. Martin. Fantastic little thread on X where he says, Art of the Deal. Did you see Donald Trump's Art of the Deal masterclass with Canada's Prime Minister? Trump just played a brilliant power move while everyone was focused on his 51st state comments. Something bigger was happening behind the scenes. Absolutely was. Remember, Trump pitched annexing Canada. Carney campaigned against him, but the second those Oval Office cameras started rolling, everything changed. So just like Carney actually played Pierre Poilievre pretty well in the election. And his biggest play was the fact that he took all the wind out of his sails. He took all the wind out of Pierre Poilievre's sails. What was Pierre Poilievre he was campaigning on for 2 years was get rid of Trudeau, get rid of the carbon tax. Trudeau carbon tax, Trudeau carbon tax, Trudeau carbon tax. In a month, the Trudeau and carbon tax were effectively gone. Of course, it was a sleight of hand because it was the consumer carbon tax only, not the industrial one, which is a real damaging one. But nonetheless, took all the wind out of his sails. Trump just did the same thing to Carney in this exchange. This was textbook Art of the Deal. Build rapport, think big, push relentlessly, control the narrative, and most importantly, ask big to get to the middle. you really want, the middle that you really want. So this is the idea, is that you're not going for a 51st state. So all those people that are excited, we're going to become America. It was never the goal. It was never the goal. But the goal was to make people think that that's what your goal was, at least in the beginning. But this is what's happening. So yeah, build rapport, think big, push relentlessly, control the narrative, and then most importantly, ask big to get to the middle. Because that's where you're going to settle. Because that's going to be where your goal was in the first place. The moment that caught everyone off guard. Carney, who built his entire campaign opposing Trump, suddenly calls him transformational president and basically adopts Trump's real agenda, his entire real agenda. Listen to this.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually, for the big announcement. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president. Focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here. With the help of my colleagues here, I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement.
Very nice. So clever editing there. I really appreciate not panning down, so you didn't see him wearing the knee pads, and of course cutting it before he cleared his mouth on that one. But seriously, in all seriousness, that was Trump's agenda. He was going for all of those things, and Mark Carney just volunteered them right there. Like, these were all the things that he wanted. That's it. Number 5, Trump's response to Canada joining the U.S. It would be a massive tax cut, free military, tremendous medical care. Then drops this gem: when you get rid of that artificially drawn line. This is more of him just doing what he does.
You had said that Canada should become the 51st state.
Yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but it takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said, that's the way it was meant to be. But, I do feel it's
look at
much better
Carney's
for
face
Canada.
of that.
But we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
They like each other a lot. Just listen to the words. Eric Olette with a $13.99 super chat saying, a little late in the stream, but I agree with Zoltan. But Juno and Rebel stunt at the debates probably turned off a lot of normies that still listen to legacy media and not independents. Interesting take on that one. I don't know if Zoltan's still around for this one, but I'll bring that up with him tomorrow because I'll be meeting up with him. We're going to go hang out with a group of buddies. We got a whole group of buddies that are coming out to hang out, and that's going to be a thing for sure. I want to make sure I want to make sure because this happens every once in a while. After the stream here, and I'm not ending the stream just yet, but after the stream, we tend to go over to the Discord, and if people want to add more to the conversation, that's the thing. I noticed the mods are putting the Discord link up in the chat, and I'm just having a look and making sure that people are actually getting into the stream and they're fine. Everything's happening. I noticed that when there's a big influx of newcomers, sometimes they don't get in because I'll get a notification, whoa, unusual activity. And the reason why it's unusual activity is because we only ever give the link to the Discord in the live streams. So that's the only time that you can get the Discord link, because other than that, we just you get bots, and you get spammers, and you get trolls and all of that stuff. So only the people that actually want to hang out in the live streams are the people that we're willing to have come over and hang out in the Discord. So the link will be up there. Gmeister just put it in the chat. So grab yourself in on that link if you're keen, and we'll see you in there. I just got to make sure that the link works, it functions, because sometimes we'll get a ton of people coming in, and then I get notification, unusual high volume of activity entering the stream. Is this a raid or something like that? And no, it's actually people coming in. So let's keep going with this. So the next one from Rod D. Martin's thread here is, but here's what the N media missed. I think it's the mainstream media missed. While Carney was saying Canada is not for sale, Trump was already getting exactly what he wanted. He was getting a NATO commitment. He was getting border security. He was getting defense spending increase, and an acknowledgement that there's a fentanyl problem coming from Canada.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign.
What, like Macron and Charles? Like, who do you think are the owners of Canada? You didn't meet with any of the citizenry. Get real on that one.
Last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale. Ever, but the
Mike Myers, the guy who's implicated in the Diddy parties. I don't know. I'm just rolling with this.
Opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. We have done that in the past, and part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security.
Charles and G. Yeah.
And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
Wow, so Trump got exactly what he was after. Trish Brew for $6.99 saying, I'll forgive you for being wrong if you promise to have a great time tomorrow. Winky face. Yeah. Being wrong. What was I wrong about? Was I wrong about something? I have been wrong in the past, and I've been known to make retractions on the channel. This is one of those things, though. Like, I honestly, I like to leave my ego out of it, because really, at the end of the day, if it turns out you were wrong about something, just own up to it. It really is that easy. Just own up to the thing that you were wrong about. But too often, what we see is like, make an excuse. This is I didn't really mean that when I said this other thing. That's one of those things. But yeah, and I've been known to do it because I've made mistakes, and I'm happy to make another video. I mean, it's exciting. I get to make a video to tell people I was wrong about a thing. I screwed up. I mean, we all screw up from time to time, but what's most important is just to, and I just want to put it this way. I just want to throw this one out there before we continue, because this is a good thread. I want to throw this one out there. So when it comes to what would it be, goodwill or just trust, that sort of thing. So I work in an auto garage, and this is where things get really important. If When I figure it out, I'll let you know. That's fair. No, but this has come up in recent time about sometimes people are wrong and they should own up for the thing they were wrong about, and that's a thing that's been a recent focus in recent time. So I look at it this way, and this is a philosophy that I have, right? So because I work on cars are a valuable thing. Like, not all cars are super valuable, but cars are a valuable thing, and it's a large investment for one person to have an automobile, and then on top of that, you're having to do repairs, and sometimes repairs go sideways. Let's just be honest about that. Sometimes that happens, and sometimes a wrench slips or a knife slips and cuts and things happen, and your best bet always is to just go to the service writers at the front and say, I broke a thing. Something broke, right? Like, you're not going to get in trouble. This is just the reality of auto repair. Is sometimes Clyde do something better than nothing. So this is the thing. When something gets broken and it costs an amount or whatever, and it's your fault, like, you got to be honest about it and say, I made a mistake. That happened. Now somebody's got to pay for it. Let's figure this out. Okay, that's a thing. But here's the thing: if little things like this, if on the little things you lie and you say, like, oh, I didn't accidentally nick that trim on the car, that wasn't me, when it obviously was you, or whatever, or, oh, I was just taking that piece off, and the other thing, I just discovered that it was broken. Like, no, you broke it as you were taking the thing out. These things happen. Just blame the government. Yeah, that's it. But this is the reality of the whole situation, because there's gonna be a time where something is actually really bad. Something is really, really bad, and it wasn't your fault. And if you say that you didn't do it, and I'm talking genuinely, because you didn't do it, but all the arrows are pointing at you because you were the guy touching it and you were the guy there. But if all the time you're always that BSer that says, oh, no, it wasn't my fault. I wasn't not a thing. I didn't really do that, or, this sort of thing, no one's going to believe you. Trust is out the window. It's gone. That's it. If you can't admit to the little things, no one is going to trust you on the big things. So always just own up to it. It's just such a simple, easy concept. Own up to the little things, because then when it really matters, people will trust you. Sorry, I had to throw that one out there just because it's just so damn simple. But for some reason, it doesn't get grasped. And when I have apprentices, I drill that into them. Because I think it's so very important. I teach my children this. It's the way to go. Not my job. Yeah, right. All those things. I don't see anything. I had my welding helmet down. Yeah, right. What age you have? Is that translated from another language? Because that sounds like Google Translate. What age you have? How old are you? I'm in my 40s, early 40s though. I'm old. Every time I say I'm old, people will be like, I'm way older than you in the chat. So I'm not even say that anymore. If you're honest, people will respect your honesty. Good people are good people. That's it. But what I really emphasize this. It's the little things that are the most important. The little ones. And if you can't be square on the little ones, man, you're going to have such a hard time elsewhere. If you lie, you're a professional. You are young. I see that guy. There you go. There it is. You never pick up rocks. 60 plus. Wow. Congrats. Congrats for making it. Congrats for making it. In fact, we're living at a time now. I mean, we live in a great time. Like, we do live in a great time. Medical breakthroughs and all this stuff. You know, it was 100,000 years ago. I think the average age was 32 years old. So let's be glad that we live now and not another time. So getting on with this Rod D. Martin's thread here, because I like this thread a lot. Watch this moment. Trump, never say never. Carney shifts uncomfortably. Trump says, I've had many things that were not doable that ended up being doable. Pure art of the deal. Here we go.
Mr. President, when you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say, never say never. I've had many, many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, you know, Canada loves us, and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We'll absolutely see what happens in this one. Oh boy. And then this moment, then Trump drops the hammer, reminds everyone about the USMCA negotiations coming up. Translation, I've got leverage. When Trump brings up Trudeau's team, I didn't like that person that worked for him. She was terrible. Message received, play ball, or face consequences.
You have to walk away from that pact?
From what pact?
USMCA.
No, it's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. We have the USMCA is a good deal for everybody.
Look how uncomfortable
I won't say this
Carney is.
about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person. And she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal. And
look at his face. You know what he's talking about, right? Leave a comment in the chat right now. Who's he talking about? She was a horrible person. That was really bad. I didn't like her. I didn't like her much. I gotta say, I didn't like her. Yeah, Freeland, absolutely twitchy Freeland. Didn't like her. Well, why do you think Carney's got such an uncomfortable look on his face? I guess Donald Trump maybe doesn't know, and probably Rod D. Martin doesn't know this, but Mark Carney is the godfather of Chrystia Freeland's kid. Like, this is he's dogging her right in front of the godfather in the family, and let's just be honest, he's no Don Corleone. He's more of a Fredo, if anything. Fredo Carney over here. Holy cow. Just taking it. Just taking it. And living up to the stereotype, and I hate to say it, the stereotype of Canadians, to just, when it comes down to it, just taking it. Just totally having her.
Take advantage of the deal, and she didn't get away with it. You know what I'm talking about. But
you know what I'm talking about.
We had a bad relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal.
Alfredo Carney.
You know.
Oh, that's too good. Alfredo. Thank you for that. Trish Brew for 279. So is Freeland on the same level as Rosie? Worse, I think. Worse. Thank you, Clyde. What are you thanking me for? Just the laughs? Just for the lulz? You broke my heart. Compare this presser with Carney to when El Salvadorian president was with Trump. I didn't see that. I didn't catch that. Gotta admit, that was beautiful. It was. She canceled Disney Plus for this. No laughing. Oh, that's way too funny. That's way too funny.
We ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
Adjust it or terminate it. Termination definitely means bad news for Canada. I'm not kidding you. Well, you know what? I gotta stop saying that. Because it's not bad news for Canada. It's actually good news for Canada. Let's just be honest. Long term is probably good news for Canada. It's bad news for certain special players in the Canadian economy. So if you have a cartel in the Canadian economy, bad news for you. If you don't, it's good news, because the freer the trade, the more that American companies are allowed to enter the Canadian market. It's better for the consumers. Remember, this protectionist economy that Canada's been running for decades and decades has only been at the detriment of the Canadian populace. Seriously, that's very, very important to consider. Now, Rod D. Martin, continuing on this thread, in his prediction, this meeting will go down as a turning point in USA-Canada relations. Defense partnership instead of freeloading. Fentanyl and illegal alien crackdown. Canadian markets open to U.S. producers. That's good for everybody. Let's be honest about that. That's good for everybody. Now, if you're a niche market, dairy, somebody, or yeah, there you go, cell phones, the data mafia. Yeah, I'd love to see all of those cell phone providers to be able to flood into the market. Who cares if Bell goes out of business? I don't care. They got subsidized by the Canadian dollar enough. It's just by the Canadian taxpayer enough. Who cares? Allow it all to flow right in the door. Chinese cars. It's a good question. Well, the Americans don't want that. that's for sure. Build them in North America. Chinese cars, I really wouldn't trust them for the most part, but that's the thing. We've got tariffs on Chinese batteries for cars for that exact reason. And here's the most unfair thing about this whole. Well, wasn't that a slip of a button? Wow. Yeah, that was something else. I got a button right next to the other button, so I was trying to push that away. So I'm going to get into that because this is the amazing episode. Yeah, that's it. Lots of lulls in the chat. Technology. Nice, son. So I'm going to live that one down. Wrong button, commercial break. That's it. I was just promoting the channel. Make sure you subscribed. Make sure you've hit the like button. Get down there. Wow, I thought I fell asleep. I woke some people up. That's awesome. Yeah, Clyde, wrong button. Elbows down, bent over the Oval Office desk. Okay, that's for smooth one. Yeah, that's it. All right. We have our fun. We're having our fun. Okay. Don't touch that button. Oh boy, I could probably end the stream on that with that button. I know how to do that now. I know how to crack that one out for ending the stream. Clyde, hit the kill button. We'll do that. Okay, so I want to make this note. I want to make this one note, and this is about this. So this is under Trudeau. Oh, Doug T. Knight, and I hope Knighty. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you so much for joining and becoming a member of the channel. Clarence, see you later. Have a good one. Okay, so this is excuse me. This is the point I wanted to make. And this point is about the fact that we put tariffs on Chinese batteries. And that was because the federal government was trying to pick winners and losers, and they were trying to fund European companies to come over to Canada and build batteries in southwestern Ontario. This is what they were trying to do. And in an effort to bolster that, and they were actually working with the Biden administration as well at the time, put on tariffs on Chinese EV battery companies. So Chinese EV batteries can't be sold here, so that we can foster this thing in southwestern Ontario. And then what does China do? They put tariffs on products from Alberta and Saskatchewan. They put tariffs on canola. Canola, a huge mass production export. That sucks for people in Alberta and Saskatchewan because that's part of their export market. But Ontario, southwestern Ontario, can give two craps about the plight of Albertans and Saskatchewanians. This is another issue of that whole Western Canada getting crapped on for the sake of Eastern Canada. I just wanted to make that point as well before we move on. And moving on, we will. Moving on, want to introduce anybody who doesn't know yet already. We have a Discord server. What's Discord, you might be asking? Discord is another kind of social media. It's a place where you can go hang out. There's chat rooms and all this other stuff. But it's basically a small server where there's a couple different chat channels, typing chat channels. But then there's also really, really good voice and video channels. And after the live streams, love to jump in there and have chats with everybody after the stream for, I don't know, the rest of the evening, that kind of thing. So if you're into that, follow the link right there that the lovely G-Meister has put into the chat for everybody's convenience. Follow that link, head on over to the Discord server, and we'll be hanging out over there for the remainder of the evening. So for everybody who's tuned in, I want to thank you guys all so very much. Thank you for coming in and hanging out. Yeah, lovely. I don't know. I'm just throwing acronyms out there, man. Or acronyms. I mean, I'm throwing adjectives out there. Yeah, thank you, G-Meister. The lovely G-Meister. Also have up to 200% import tax on Chinese solar panels. So much for green, eh? Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. It's just about cronyism. That's really all that stuff really is. Clyde, thanks, Clyde. Hit the like button. Yes. Hit that like button on the way out, and we'll definitely see you. I'm gonna take a break. There's a couple of videos that are gonna come out throughout the course of the weekend. Tune into those. Check those out, and we'll definitely see you Monday morning. Everybody, keep on trucking.